Prompt number 1, complete. Hey Bookaholics, so welcome back to another reading vlog. Today I'm going to be kicking off my Lightfall and Yule vlog. I know that Lightfall did actually start on Saturday. Today is Wednesday, but I am going to be using some of the books that were in my Baba Yaga vlog for Lightfall. So I still have used all of the time that we're given. I just wanted to keep my Baba Yaga vlog Baba Yaga focused. And now that that's over, I can go through Lightfall a little bit more. Before we get into that, so this initial clip is going to be quite rambly. I am going to be talking about my TBR for this vlog, as I always do. I'm also going to be talking about Lightfall, and then I'm also going to be recapping all of the Lightfall stuff that happened from Saturday to Tuesday. So I'm going to timestamp today's section in case you already watched the Baba Yaga vlog, if you're not interested in Lightfall, or if you simply just want to kind of get straight into the usual vloggy stuff. I'll leave that timestamped in the description. Prompt number 2, complete. First things first, the most important thing is the TBR for this vlog. What am I going to be reading this week? Well, I have The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clarke. This one is a novella. I'm actually going to listen to it on audio. I've bought the Apple Books book, and it's, I think, only like 30 minutes. And I am going to be listening to that. I believe it's a fairy tale-esque story, and that's kind of all I know. With it being a novella, I didn't really need to know much more. I just thought it would be good to have an audio just in case at some point I do need to get something done and or just want to continue my knitting. So now that I have finished the one that I was listening to last week, it would be good to have another audio. The next one that I have is A Midwinter's Tale by Lily Hayward. This one is the story of a young woman who works in the city, and she's about to have like the career boosting meeting of a lifetime. However, her godfather has reached out to her that he has had a stroke and he needs help. So she decides that she'll go to him and she'll give him a hand. Then she'll be back in time for the meeting. She's still unsure why he specifically contacted her, but when she gets there, she sees that there's stuff going on with this like, little island that he lives on, people wanting to take over his property, and it gives me Hallmark movie vibes, which I am here for. I also have Upon a Frosted Star by M.A. Kuznia. This one is a Swan Lake retelling. M.A. Kuznia does like Tchaikovsky ballet retellings. I read the Midnight in Everwood last year and I liked it, and I have a feeling I'll like this one more because I do like Swan Lake more than the Nutcracker, which is what the other one is a retelling of. So hopefully I'll like this one even more. But I liked the previous one. It was just like a fantasy romance retelling of the Nutcracker, and this one is going to be a fantasy romance historical retelling of Swan Lake, which sounds great. For Lightfall, therefore, I have already read 3 books and started another. And then the books on my TBR are also going to work towards this. So the ones that I have already finished, the first one is The Witch and the Tsar by Alessia Salnikova-Gilmore. This one I read in my Baba Yaga vlog. I really liked it. And this one worked for the Wallace's Wonderful Winter Wanimals prompt, which was a book with aurora colours. The kind of greenish blue of the cover kind of was giving me aurora colours vibe, so I went with that one. Another one that I have read is for the Owlcat Craft Cafe, which was to read a cozy read, and for this one I reread The House with Chicken Legs, which is one of my favourite middle grades of all time, so of course I found it cozy. And the other one that I have read is for Smith and Friends and Sons Arcane Goods and Such, which was a book with winter motifs of some kind on the cover. And for that one, I have gone for Vasilisa. There's snow on the cover. And so all of these were read for my Baba Yaga vlog. So any thoughts I have on any of these will be in that vlog, but they are working for Lightfall prompts, and I did read them within the time frame necessary for them to be able to apply. As to any of the other shops, the only one I'm not doing is Occult Premonitions, which is a book set in the future. It's not the right time of the year for me personally to be reading that. I want to read kind of Christmassy books. That's what I'm going with. So then we have Shank and Shaw Legitimate Retailers, which is to read a book that gives you chills. So it could be either a thriller or a romance. I'm going to be using Upon a Frosted Star for this as the romance prompt. For the Old Tales bookstore, it is to read a book that you would like to finish before the end of the year. The one that I kind of set aside for Christmas for this year was A Midwinter's Tale. So I think that's the one that best fits this prompt. And then for the Rich Pigeon Pub, it is to read a book with 2 or more authors. And that is the one that I currently have on the go, which is The Advent of Winter. Prompt number 4. Face mask. Now I'm going to do a whole separate section just where I talk about The Advent of Winter. The Advent of Winter is an anthology of short stories written by self-pub and indie authors and is edited by Dominish McDermott. And this one is an anthology that is similar to The Anatomy of Fear, which I read for the Halloween period, and it is literally that. It's Advent of Winter. You get 24 stories until Christmas. Obviously I don't have that kind of time, so for the 4 days that were covering the Baba Yaga vlog, so from Saturday through to Tuesday, I've not been mentioning them in that vlog because, as I said, I did want it focused on Baba Yaga, so I'm going to talk about them now. On Saturday I read The Patchskin Woman by Cal Black. I read Rite of the Tundra by Jim Wilburn. I liked these. They were good introductions to these authors' works. Neither of these authors are ones that I have read from before, so it was a good taste test for their writing style. I think I own a Cal Black. I don't own anything by Jim Wilburn, at least at the moment. I liked them enough that I am curious. I'm still curious about their writing. Maybe not enough for me to be like, oh my god, I need a book of theirs now, but I definitely would pick one up based on this in the future. On Sunday, I read Innocence Lost by H.C. Newell and Frosted Embers by L.L. McRae. L.L. McRae is one of my favourite authors in the indie sphere at the moment. I can say that I do prefer her longer fiction. Her short fiction, I absolutely love it when it's adding to existing worlds, when it's adding to stories I already know. I think she does great like snippets in established worlds. But I think because I love her world building and her character work as a slow burn, as you slowly get into things, I think I just kind of crave that because it's still the same writing style, but it doesn't have those elements to it. I kind of crave that when I'm reading her shorter fiction, but that's not actually that she's not writing the shorter fiction worse. It's that I really want more from it, which is always a good thing. So I was really glad to be reading that. I did quite like Innocence Lost, but I don't find it hugely memorable. Like now on Wednesday, looking back, I couldn't tell you what it's about at all. On Monday, I read Frozen Hell by Karim Solomon, Soul Shard by Tiago Abdallah, and Bloodfire by Palmer Pickering. Palmer Pickering has some incredibly interesting, if not slightly peculiar covers of their books, and that's always made me kind of drawn to them. The writing style was interesting, so I definitely curious about that. Karim Solomon is also an author I've kind of had on my radar and haven't picked up. Again, kind of similar to like Cal Black and Jim Wilburn. This hasn't pushed me to like immediately go buy a book by this author, but at the same time hasn't deterred me and has still kept my interest. And then Soul Shard by Tiago Abdallah I thought was actually really well written, and I already own something by Tiago Abdallah, so now I am kind of a lot more interested to go pick that up sometime soon. So it does seem like, at least gauging off of this, I do have a general understanding of my taste, which is quite nice. And on Tuesday I read Cold Silver for Souls by Tori Tekin. The writing style in this one was a little bit too fast. I know that sounds strange, but it was just like when I'm reading a fantasy story that is supposed to be atmospheric or at least wintry or something, it's supposed to have a vibe. I didn't get the vibe. It was very fast. It was very quick. I don't know. I read it really quickly. So I did really like it, but not in this context. So it's one of those where I genuinely am now really curious to read something by this author, because I feel like in a different context it would really work for me. I know that's weird, but it's how my brain works. I read Border Crossing by A.R. Witham, and I read that yesterday lunchtime, and I can't really remember much about it. I don't remember disliking it. I don't remember any of these so far being ones that, oh no, I'm not a fan. But I do not really remember a huge amount about it. I mean, granted, I'm reading a lot of these in quite rapid fire as well, but I don't remember a huge amount about that one. And then I read A Cold Broad River by Tim Hardy, which is interesting because I read Tim Hardy at the beginning of the month for my Terry vlog, and I really liked that story. I read Hall of Bones, which is the first book in his series, and I was very curious to kind of see how I felt about his short fiction, having read his long fiction, because I've read his short fiction before. I do actually think I prefer his long fiction as well. He's another one where it's just like, I feel like the more time he has on the page, the better. In his case, like, more is more. So I liked it, but I think by contrast, if I was going to choose reading his short work or his longer work, I would go with the longer work. Which finally leads me to today. Now today I so far have had my breakfast and my lunch. So for with my breakfast I read The Christmas Case by Krista Lende. I'm sorry if I keep looking down. I'm reading Advent of Winter on my phone because all of my other books are also ebooks. So I'm reading those on my Kindle, so I don't have to keep flicking in and out. I know that sounds stupid, but it helps my brain. So I'm reading Advent of Winter on my phone, but you are my phone at the moment. So I've made a note of it all here. I read The Christmas Case by Krista Lende, and interesting. It was definitely an interesting one. It wasn't what I kind of was expecting it to be based on the title, but it was an interesting one. I quite liked it. And then I've also read The Crypt of Ice by D.W. Ross. D.W. Ross is an author that I have owned, I think, 2 books in his series for at least 2 years. So I probably should pick them up. Based on my enjoyment of this, I probably should pick them up. I liked it. It wasn't necessarily like, oh my god, new favourite, but I liked the writing style, I liked the setting, I liked the pacing, which again, pacing can be hit or miss in short stories. So I am definitely curious to continue, and I should definitely give him a go. So as for plans, I am hoping to start A Midwinter's Tale today, and then I need to read my next Advent of Winter one, which is Winter's Dance. So those are my plans for the rest of the day. Now that like work day is done, the kids will be home very soon, so then I will be able to, like, we've got lots of stuff to prep at the moment. It's we've got their Christmas dance coming up, so we've got like costumes to make and stuff, but I'm hoping that I can read at least a bit of Midwinter's Tale, and then I will definitely try and prioritize reading Winter's Dance. But yeah, that's it for this first update. I am so sorry that it's so long, but there's so much to try and pack in between Lightfall, then the Advent of Winter, and then this vlog, but then linking it back to the Baba Yaga vlog. I am so sorry. But thank you for sticking with me, and yeah, hopefully everything henceforth will just be normal vlog vibes. Prompt number 6, complete. Hey vlog, it is Thursday, so it's time for me to check in. I did get some decent reading done yesterday in the end. I mean, like decent. Like I said, I was quite busy because we're doing costumes and stuff for the kids. But I did read 96 pages of A Midwinter's Tale, and I'm really liking it. I'm so glad, because this was one that was going to be either hit or miss for me. I feel like it was one of those that was either going to be like too Hallmark movie. Like I read, oh God, what was it a few years ago? Pride, Prejudice and Mistletoe, I feel like it was called, which was a Pride and Prejudice retelling, and it was literally just a Hallmark movie. Like everything about it was a Hallmark movie. They gender flipped them so that then the Darcy character could be the girl, just so they could have the usual Hallmark setup. So I kind of was worried that this would have a similar vibe, but it doesn't. Like the relationship between her and her godfather is, I think, going to be really interesting. I think that friendship, that kinship is going to really come through. I'm really hoping it feels a little bit like Kate Winslet from The Holidays relationship with Eli Wallach's character. That's kind of what I'm hoping. And then we also have the cat. I love the cat. So I'm just excited to keep reading. I'm having a lovely time with it, and I'm looking forward to continuing on. And then last night I did also read Winter's Dance by Natalie Calder. I really liked this one. This one had a very interesting prose style. I don't know exactly what about it. It was quite late, so it might have just been my brain, but there was something about it that felt very lyrical, but not lyrical. What am I thinking? Very distinctive, very different, very immersive, and I really liked it. I couldn't tell you for the life of me what exactly it was that I liked, but I liked it. And then this morning with my breakfast, because I'm about to start work now, I started The Snowmaker's Child by Zach Argyle. Now, criminally, this is my first experience with Zach Argyle, which, given that he is like a titan of self-pub, is probably really bad. But I did really like it. I understand why people like his writing. And like, having read his writing style, like, I appreciate that like it's not the best thing in the world. Like it's not this like super distinctive, really intricate writing style, almost like the antithesis of the Natalie Calder one. This one, it was like a really punchy, straight to the point story, but for some reason it was still good and still did what I wanted it to do. And I think it was just like, it was a choice to have that kind of writing style, same as Natalie Calder's was a choice to have her kind of writing style, and his was like, let the words speak for themselves, which I really liked. So I am excited to read something else by this author, which it's about time really, so probably for the best. That's it. I had a tiny update today because I really haven't read all that much, but I don't know how much reading I'll actually get done tomorrow because it's my kids' school dance tomorrow. I don't even know if I'll be able to update you, but so I'm hoping to actually really knuckle down. I'd really like to finish A Midwinter's Tale, which is like, I don't know, 200 pages. That's a lot, especially because I've got 2 more of the stories from Advent of Winter to go as well. But hopefully after, because I don't have much work on, like over this time period, I really don't have much to do. So hopefully once I'm done with this, I can just knuckle down and do loads of reading and I'll have a lovely time. Hey vlog, so it is Friday morning. I am going to head out in a minute because I'm going to go watch my kids' Christmas dance. So I thought I would check in as quick as physically possible before I go. So to start, what did I read yesterday? I finished A Midwinter's Tale. I loved this book. I really did. I mean, I'm sure you saw that from the previous clip. The second half was no different. I love it. I love it. It's really wholesome. It's really cute. I love the vibes, the setting. So much about the setting actually is like a contemporary version of what I wanted The Elements of Cadence by Rebecca Ross to be. This kind of like island that has this like underlying like magical, whimsical folklore to it, which I really liked. I liked the storytelling. I loved the writing. I loved our characters' development. It was kind of like a Hallmark movie, but not in like a crappy give up your dreams for a guy kind of way, and more in a discover your inner self and find your own peace, and you don't have to be part of the corporate machine. And I really appreciated that. So it wasn't like, oh, just tone down who you are and go live in flannel shirts for the rest of your life. It was like, make sure that you love what you're doing with your life. And I liked that. And it was an ode to the British countryside as well, which I just thought was gorgeous. So I'm really glad I read it. I'm sure I'm giving it 5 stars. And it was a fun time as well. Like, I just enjoyed my time reading it. So yesterday, the other 2 Advent of Winter stories that I ended up reading, I have An Act of Patience by H.L. Tinsley. Now, I love H.L. Tinsley's writing. I wasn't as engaged with this one as I normally am with her stuff. Normally, I'm just like enthralled. I cannot wait to continue reading. Normally, she's my favorite in an anthology. Like, I love L.L. McRae, and a lot of the time they overlap, but I love L.L. McRae's like big, chunky, mammoth books. And like her short stories just feel like they add an element to that somehow. While H.L. Tinsley's, I love the short stories as they are almost. But this one I still really liked it, but it wasn't like I was so excited for this one. And then it's like, oh, that's nice. Like, not nice, but like that was good. And that's it. So we'll see, how I feel, which one ends up being my favorite, because I was fairly certain it would be the H.L. Tinsley, and I don't think it will be, which is interesting. I also read the story by the editor of the entire anthology, which is Fighting Chance by Don McDermott. I'm actually in his Discord, so I chat with him relatively frequently. I liked his writing. I did. A lot of the time, like, editors and proofreaders, almost they get a little bit too pernickety with the writing style sometimes, because they see those errors when they're correcting other people. I don't think that was the case for this with Dom. I think that he did a really good job, just like on his own, telling a story with a really nice flow. So I was really glad of that, and I liked that one. And then this morning I have read Beauty in the Void by J.D.L. Russell. He is an author that I have kind of considered picking up in the past. So this was a great taste test for me to see how I found his writing. I liked it. I didn't love it. I don't know exactly what it was that wasn't quite working for me. So I think I'd probably need to read some other short fiction by him first to see if his writing style, if my issues with writing style, or if I just wasn't quite engaging with the story itself, or just that I'm distracted this morning. We shall see. But for the most part, I had a good time with it. It just wasn't like the best. But yeah, that is all I have to update you on. I don't think I'm going to get any reading done today. I might try and chuck on the Wood at Midwinter audiobook to see if that can be squeezed in somewhere. But other than that, not much to report. Hey vlog, it's Saturday night, so I thought I would check in. I was gonna check in this morning, but I literally did not read very much on Friday, and I kind of thought, well, I might as well see if I can finish the vlog actually on Sunday, and it'd probably be better if I didn't have like this huge massive update on Sunday of everything I read Saturday and everything I read Sunday, and then like next to nothing on the Friday. So I have decided that I would wait until nighttime until I've read some more. So Friday, as I suspected, I didn't get much more reading done. I did listen to the audiobook like I said I would, because I did think that
I would have time to listen to half an hour of audiobook somewhere. And I did, because it's such a short one. That's actually why I decided that would be the Friday read. And then I read only one more of the Advent of Winter short stories. I'm supposed to be reading 3 a day. I only read one more. But oh well, it's one of those things. And yeah. So I listened to The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clarke yesterday. And I have odd feelings about it. Like, if you like Susanna Clarke's writing style, then you'll like this book. I liked the writing style. I liked the sound of it. If you're a fan of fairy tales, then I think you will like this. One of the issues that I think I have with novella style fairy tales is that it is the length. And like, as someone who actually does like novellas, I'm not the kind of person that is like, oh, novella length. I do like novellas. My issue with fairy tales is that, like, as a short, quick children's story, like fairy tale, it has a lot of free reign to just quickly get across a message, and you're not expecting much more than just like a plot that leads to a message of some kind. With a retelling in novel form, then you take the concept from that story and make it into a full-length story in which you have more well-developed characters, in which the plot is expanded upon, the message, the themes are expanded upon. Novella, it's not a short, quick thing like a fairy tale where it's just like, oh, cool. And it's not in depth enough like a novel. So with a fairy tale, it just kind of feels like a fairy tale that's run on too long, because you don't have any of the depth that would come with having it in novel form. But you also don't have the rapid, oh, that's it, that was all I needed to read element that comes with a fairy tale. So while it was beautiful, and it was beautifully written, beautifully narrated as well, props to the narrator, it was insubstantial. Like, it just didn't, like, it could have just been a fairy tale. It did not need to be a half an hour long audiobook. It could have been a 10-minute audiobook or a 7-minute audiobook. So that's kind of where I am at with it. I just feel fine about it. I suspect it's going to get either a 3 or 3.5 star. I think at the end of the vlog tomorrow, when I give all of my ratings, I will hopefully be able to give you a decision on that. But it's, you know, it was a good time, not a long time. I'm never going to think about this again. So, which is a shame, because I kind of bought it with the view of like, oh, I could just like listen to this every winter, but I just didn't like it enough to, I think, feel like, oh, I'll give that another listen. So the short story that I read was Before the Snow Melts by Andrew Meredith. This one, I liked this one. I think I am similar to how I felt with The Anatomy of Fear. I actually really like how fantasy heavy this is. Now, it isn't like The Anatomy of Fear where there isn't actually much of a spook factor at all. There is the snow, there is the cold factor that comes with these, but I actually really just like fantasy anthologies, so having just like wintry vibe fantasy is like exactly what I want it to be. So I'm having a good time with that. Don't have a huge amount to say on it though. Today's reading. What have I read today before I head up to bed? I have read, I guess I'll start with the novel, like get that over and with, and then come back to Advent of Winter. I started Upon a Frosted Star by M.A. Kuznia. This one is a Swan Lake retelling. M.A. Kuznia does kind of like Tchaikovsky ballet retellings, essentially. She did Midnight Neverwood, which I read, I think it was last year. And that one is a Nutcracker retelling. And then this one is a Swan Lake retelling. It's going to be a romance. And I've read parts 1 and 2, 1920s. There are literally dates on it. I have dyscalculia, so numbers just do not stay with me. Think it's actually 1920s. Everything about the vibes is 1920s. I am liking this one. This is one I genuinely thought, oh, I would definitely like this more than Midnight Neverwood, because from Tchaikovsky ballets, I actually like Swan Lake more than the Nutcracker. I don't know if that's controversial or not, but of the two main Tchaikovsky ballets, I like Swan Lake more. But at the minute, I'm liking it the same. actually. I think that what kind of levels the playing field is the fantasy element for me. I do quite like this whimsical fantasy element that they have both had. That the story, that the ballet side, I suppose the actual folklore side puts forth is, like I said, leveled by the fantasy element. So at the moment they're actually kind of equally comparable. I am 110 pages in, which means I've read parts 1 and 2. So I think that realistically I should be able to finish this tomorrow. I mean, it's over 300 pages and I am only over the 100-page mark. So it's a bit optimistic, but I don't have any plans for tomorrow. So I'm hoping that I can sit and read. The writing style is one, well, like, if you look at this cover, you are definitely going to be expecting a more prosaical writing style than you're getting. Everything about this cover looks very pretty, very whimsical, and the writing style, it isn't necessarily, it's not that it's not nice, it's just not anywhere near as like versy and pretty as you would expect, I think, based on the cover. I think my brain has been trained to, if you have this kind of like almost literary fantasy vibe on the cover, I'm going to expect a literary or purpley kind of vibe to the prose, which I am not actually getting. So it's nice to read and it's easy to get through, but I am not necessarily feeling like, oh wow, this is the most beautiful thing I've read. I mean, I did kind of know that going in, because again, Midnight in Everwood isn't particularly prosy or wordy either. So it's not a criticism so much as like me pointing it out for your sake. And then Advent of Winter, what have I read? As usual, I have the notes because you are my phone and that is where I'm reading Advent of Winter. I have read, so we have Flurries with a Chance of Treason by T.L. Greylock. This one, this is going to sound really weird. The title of that had me very excited, and I did really like it, but I think I was expecting something a bit more whimsical and a bit more like even cute. And then, like, I don't know why, because it's T.L. Greylock, like, they normally write grimdark, so I don't know why I'd expect it to be like, haha, this is hilarious. But just something about that title really made me think it was going to be funny. But once I adjusted my expectations, I had a good time with it. Like, it was a decent story, and I really do need to read T.L. Greylock, because I have a different book of theirs, I can't remember which one at the moment, on my Kindle that I really should get to. So it's just kind of hopefully given me a push in the right direction. And the other one that I've read is A Winter Marvel by Tatiana Obi. And this one, I think it's my favourite so far. And like, listen, I cannot tell you how much of a compliment that is to this story, because there's an L.L. McRae in there. There's a Tim Hardy in there. There's a H.L. Tinsley in there. And yeah, I think my favourite one so far is actually the Tatiana Obi one. I really did like the what's the series called? The first one's called Forging of Age. Anyway, her series that I've read, I really did enjoy that. So it's not surprising that I like it, but just like, if I think of like favourite indie authors, L.L. McRae definitely would normally, I think, outrank Tatiana Obi in my mind. But I really liked this story for some reason. Like, it's not that I didn't like the previous ones. I'm going to preface that. But yeah, I don't even know why. I don't even know what actually pulled me in and engaged me, but I liked it. So anyway, I am going to leave you at that. I'm going to get going. I'm going to go, I think, to bed and read the next Advent of Winter story. So I'll update you on that tomorrow, but at least it's less that I need to update you on tomorrow. That probably means I need to update you at night again tomorrow, which is fine. But yeah, we'll go see how I fare with another story before falling asleep.
Hey vlog, it's Sunday. I was going to wait a little bit longer until updating you because I haven't got that much longer to go with a couple of my reads, but my husband's going to come like get into bed now as well, and like he doesn't like being on camera, and then I'd have to get back out of bed, so I figured I'll give you an update now and then I'll do another just like update for the last bit that I read tonight in the morning. So yesterday I did read the last like short story that I needed to read in bed, which was Three Bells to Midnight by Kirsten Espinosa Rosero. She's an author I've read from and really enjoyed before as well, so this was no exception there. I really like reading Kirsten's stories. I am excited to continue the series that I've read of her. I will probably need to reread the first book because it's been so long, but I am really excited to continuing that. So it's just kind of reignited that, oh my god, yeah, I should really pick up this author's works. I had exactly the same thing with Anatomy of Fear, and I've still not done anything about it. So we'll see what 2025 brings, see if I actually continue some series that I've had on the go, especially some self-pub ones, because I really would like to get back to Kirsten's writing because I do enjoy it. As to today, so I have managed to read parts 3 and 4 of Upon a Frosted Star. So there's 5 parts in total. I've managed to read parts 3 and 4, which puts me at page 116, I believe. And I'm really liking the whimsy of it. This like it's all set in our world. So like I keep talking about like, oh, you know, in the other world, but like kind of the same way you have the Night Circus or Caraval, where there's this like real world setting, and even though you don't leave the real world, you have this layer of magic to it that I really like. That's always something I really like in narratives. A couple of my favorites have that. Like I said, there's the Night Circus, but also the Winter Garden has that element as well. And I'm really liking the historical setting. I just really wish that the magical vibe had more of a layer, a more distinctive layer than it has. I like that we have the Swan Lake retelling where we have this girl that's stuck in this like house instead. That's actually weirdly kind of the vibe that I get from, this is going to sound very strange, but in First Law there is a part where there is a girl that is stuck in a tower and a guy, but like that doesn't go very well. So I'm hoping this has a better ending, but I am very immersed. I just wish that there was more of a contrast. I wish the magic felt more magical. And at the moment, like given I only have 1 part left, I really would like to feel more strongly about the romance than I am. Like the romance at the minute feels a little bit too safe. Like there's no tension. There's no like push and pull. It's just fairy tale-esque romances, which I get, it's a fairy tale, but I wish that because it's a novel we had a little bit more summit. For me personally, I'm just not feeling that. I'm not feeling the depth of it, but that's just a personal tasting. I think with romances, like some will click with you and some won't, and that's just kind of, you gotta deal. Then for the advent of winter, I have read The Blood That Burns the Winter Snow by Ryan Cahill, and he is one that I really like reading. I've read everything that he's written. I am on his ARC list. I think everyone's on his ARC list. I love reading his books. He has such an easy prose style to get into. The fact that it's all part of the same world just makes it all the easier, and I love reading his books, so this was no exception. I had a good time. I'm glad that it continued to be in a familiar place, kind of in a way, but also not, and I am excited for the next book. It's just got me really excited for the sequel. So hopefully that's coming out in January and I can continue that series. That would be nice. Just a lot of series I need to continue, it would seem. And the other one that I read was Spirit of White Knight by Kian N. Ardalan. I had never heard of this author before, and I liked it. I liked the writing style. I'll have to see what else the author has written, see if the synopses sound good. Like, it's not like I'll go and blind to anything you've written because it was amazing, but it was like, yeah, I like your writing style enough, let's go see what else you've written kind of vibe. So hopefully I can go do that, because like I said, I'm always looking for some more self-pub authors. So, you know, that's why I read these anthologies, so I can check out some more people's works and see which ones are the ones that work for me. So tonight now I am hoping to go finish up Upon a Frosted Star, and if possible read the last of the short stories from the Advent of Winter, which I'm very excited for because it's Quimby Olsen one. I've no idea what it's about yet, but it's Quimby Olsen, so I'm excited anyway. I love her. So yeah, just get cozy in bed, let my husband actually get into the bed, and yeah, I will see you in the morning, and I'll hopefully wrap up this whole vlog. Also, if you're wanting to know which of the Wallace's wonderful winter Wanimals I end up choosing, I went with the stoat. I already have a fox, so stoat it is. We have a stoat now. I am going to end up with such a menagerie of magical pets in Magical Readathon, and I'm not mad about it. Hey vlog, it is Monday, so I am here to wrap up Lightfall and this vlog and the last vlog of the year. I'm not vlogging over the actual Christmas holidays. I am just going to be spending time with family, and also I feel like I have all of my wrap up content that's just, I need to get it over and done with, so I don't want to also be focusing on vlogs. So vlogs will be coming back about midway through January. One of those things. However, I need to update on everything that has happened. So yesterday I did actually finish Upon a Frosted Star, and I ended up giving it like a low 4 stars. It was good. I don't think that it was any better than Midnight Everwood, which I really was hoping it would be because I like Swan Lake more. I keep saying that, but it was good. I had a nice time with it. It was well written. The vibes were lovely. I wish that the real world stuff, the 1920 stuff, felt a bit more contrasty. I wish there was more of like a stark contrast, kind of like Narnia, where you have that really overt contrast between when the kids are in the real world versus when they're in Narnia. I kind of wanted more contrast between the whimsy and the grim of the time period, and I didn't really get that. I found this, I liked the characters more, I think, in this one, but I think I actually rooted for the romance more in Midnight Neverwood. I know I shouldn't be comparing the two, but they're very similar, and I did the same with the Naomi Novik ones with Uprooted and Spinning Silver. They're similar enough, and they're based on the same basis that I like that it was divided into parts. I like that we had the time skips. I liked that we did have a decent amount of the real world elements and stuff. So there was a lot to like. There were just a few things that I wish were ironed out a bit more, and that I think I would have liked for the romance to have had a bit more push and pull, a bit more tension, but that's just personal preference. I did also read The Last Page by Quimby Olsen, which is the very last Advent of Winter story. I read that last night in bed, and I liked it. I really did. I think that for me personally, Quimby Olsen is probably one of the most versatile writers that is out there, while sticking to the same genre. And that sounds really weird, but she writes basically what is like Regency-ish style, historical-ish style cozy. And she writes it in fantasy, she writes it in romance, etc. So she sticks really well within her niche, but boy does she know her niche. She can write novellas, she can write short stories, she can write full-length novels, she can write series in her niche. and ace all of them. So it's really weird. It's like this really specific thing that she keeps finding more things to do in and do well. So I really like that. And I'm glad that I've read more Quimby Olsen. I'm always happy to be reading more Quimby Olsen. Therefore, to conclude this vlog, I'm not going to go back through my thoughts too much on anything, but I'm going to go through the ratings of each of the individual books that I've read in this vlog, and then we'll do the Lightfall wrap up. So, first of all, I finished The Advent of Winter, which I gave 4 stars, and my favourite story from it ended up being A Winter Marvel by Tatiana Obi, which did surprise me a little bit because I did think that one of the authors that I find comfort zoney, like Quimby Olsen, H.L. Tinsley, or L.L. McRae, would be the ones that would kind of take that cake, but nope, Tatiana Obi took that one. A Midwinter's Tale, which I gave 5 stars. I loved it. It gave me everything I wanted. The Wood at Midwinter, which I gave 3 stars, which I just didn't felt like it had any depth to it. And then finally, Upon a Frosted Star, which I gave 4 stars. I liked the vibes. I liked the atmosphere. I liked the characters. I would have liked a little bit more connection with the romance. So now to conclude Lightfall, we have Owlcat Craft Cafe with a cozy read, which is The House with Chicken Legs. Shank and Shaw Legitimate Retailers, reading a romance with Upon a Frosted Star. So A House with Chicken Legs was 5 stars, Upon a Frosted Star 4 stars. Wallace's Wonderful Winter Wanimals with The Witch and the Tsar, which got 5 stars. Smith and Friends and Sons Arcane Goods and Such, which was Vasilisa, which got 5 stars. The Old Tales Bookshop, which was A Midwinter's Tale, which got 5 stars. And The Rich Pigeon Pub was The Advent of Winter, which got 4 stars. Very good Lightfall, in my opinion. Very good ratio of books going on there. All very wintry, which suited the vibe, but different types of books at the same time. We've got, some that have that contemporary vibe, the historical vibe, we've got middle grade, we've got adult, and yeah, everything in between. Anthology. So yeah, I've had a really good time with this vlog. This is going up on Christmas Day, so I hope that you are having a lovely Christmas holiday if you celebrate. And yeah, happy festive season to all of you, and I will see you in January or in whatever comes next.